Hello. So, how is everyone doing? Tonight I am drinking apple vodka with just a squeeze of lemon juice. I always drink lemon juice with my alcohol because it prevents or breaks up kidney stones. And sometimes I have a problem getting kidney stones. I don't know why, but I do. Anyway, I'm trying to fix this thing. Adjust it. It's a mess. I'm having dinner. Haven't eaten. So I'm having some wild rice and beans. Black beans and wild rice. I don't know if you can see that. With some chicken. I only eat chicken and fish. I don't eat beef. Beef, no pork, no processed meats, no processed foods. So I try to eat healthy. Lots of fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables, or frozen fruit to put in my smoothies, my green smoothies. But anyway, today's conversation isn't about food. It's about this coronavirus. A little bit about that, and a little bit about me. I wanted to check in first and see how everyone's doing. I want to make sure that everybody's okay. And if you're not okay, please hit me up or get to the hospital. Hit me up if you are feeling anxious, you need someone to talk to, by all means, you can hit me up. If you are physically sick, you need to find the nearest emergency room. Because I don't want you to, get too sick and then something awful happens. So anyway, this particular pandemic, this crisis, I wouldn't say it necessarily triggers me. I don't like to use that word because not everything triggers me. But what it does do is remind me of the storm that we had, the Katrina storm in Louisiana. And I lived in Louisiana. I lived in Louisiana for 5 years. I loved it. I fell in love with Louisiana. I moved from New York. Well, I moved from New York to New Jersey for a job. From New Jersey, I resigned. I quit my job to move to Louisiana to start a new life for me at that time, and my fiance. That didn't end up working out between him and I. However, my stay there in Louisiana was, oh my God, amazing. I fell in love with Louisiana. I fell in love with the culture, with the African and French culture. I fell in love with that. The music, the food, the people, the culture. It was beautiful in New Orleans. I lived in a place called Kenner, Louisiana, and I stayed there for about 5 years. I think it was 2005. Yeah, 2005. Katrina came. And a lot of people, such as myself and my aunt, we stayed behind. My aunt had a daughter who had cerebral palsy, Shayna. She's alive and well now. Thank God. But me, Shayna, and Helen, my Aunt Helen, stayed behind in Louisiana because we didn't think that the storm would hit that bad. And I had never been through a hurricane like that. I had never experienced anything like that. So, I'm from New York. We experienced blizzards, storms like that, but we always got through that. I never experienced anything like water, hurricanes like that. So We stayed behind, thinking that it wouldn't be as bad, but it ended up being a Category 5. Um, the mayor and the governor advised everyone to leave, but a lot of people stayed behind. A lot of people didn't have the means or places to go. So they stayed behind. They wanted to stay behind because they had some people didn't have money to leave. Some people were so grounded in their homes that they had bought, and they felt like the storm wasn't so bad and they were going to be prepared for this. Me, I don't know what I was thinking. I should have left because I feel like it traumatized me over the years. You remember I used to be able to I used to not be able to tell the story without crying. But now, after time has passed, I can actually tell the story without crying or, welling up with tears. So, I won't get into all the details of it right now, but I will say that when you live through Katrina, a storm like that killed hundreds and hundreds of people. It was considered a natural catastrophe, like a natural disaster. It started out that way, but people that were from New Orleans, from Louisiana, that lived in the 9th Ward and the 6th Ward and the 7th Ward and the 8th Ward and all those wards and stuff, we know that a few of those levees were blown up on purpose to control population. Yeah. So, yeah, they were actually blown open with dynamite. A few people heard it. Yeah. And then the water came into the city, of course, and just kind of killed and just washed a lot of people. I saw dead bodies. It was awful. The stuff that I saw, I don't think anybody should have experienced that. There were people floating by the house. Well, they were on boats. They were alive. But the people that I saw that were dead was a lady down the block. Her daughter opened the door to her house. She lived on the same block as we did. And her daughter opened the door up, and her daughter just started screaming. And I'll never forget that heart-wrenching sound of her voice screaming that her mom was like floating out the door. Like, it was crazy to me. I remember seeing the helicopters, the coffins underneath these helicopters. And you knew people were dead, when you saw that. And they were just flying above, and they were flying really low. People were riding by in canoes, my neighbors and stuff. We didn't have any of that stuff. We didn't have no canoes. We didn't have any way out. And it was just me, my handicapped cousin in a wheelchair. She's wheelchair bound, can't do anything for herself, can't feed herself, can't walk, she can't do anything. So we basically have to do for her, care for her. I remember my mind kicking into survival mode immediately. There were a lot of stores that were blown in from the storm. A lot of the stores, mostly all the stores, all crashed in. And I remember the mayor getting on television and telling everyone that it was okay, that it was legal to go into the stores and get the supplies that you need. Get everything, every supply that you need, that you could do that. He gave us permission to do that. But don't take stuff that wasn't, for survival. But people were getting too carried away down in New Orleans, in the city. They were going into, places where they're selling audio, video equipment. They were stealing stereos, televisions. Child, it was amazing. They were going into banks, stealing money. The cops were stealing money. There was a lot of dirty cops during that time. A lot of racist, dirty cops that were going in, robbing places as well. The cops were robbing places. Yes, they were. The New Orleans police officers were robbing places, and a few of them were in prison. I remember. That's another story I'll tell you about on another day. So, I'm saying this to you to say that tonight I went into Rite Aid Pharmacy. And Rite Aid Pharmacy brought me back. It triggered some really horrible thoughts for me. I went in there and there was no toilet paper because everyone is panicking. People are literally fighting over fucking toilet paper. Can you believe that? It's disgusting. They're fighting over toilet paper. So they're panicking. So they're not thinking of anyone else around them. They could care less of elderly people or just anyone, you know. They're buying up boxes of it. Certain places are allowing them to buy boxes of it. Then certain stores are giving them a minimum of how much they could buy. But of course, then they're getting their family members to come in and buy, you know. Oh, you come and you buy and, you know, just act like you're not related to me, you know. Yeah. So basically, I went to 4 stores tonight looking for toilet paper. I finally found some, and it was some off-brand shit, which I don't like because it gives me a fucking rash. I like Charmin, Northern, or Angel Soft. Those are the ones that I'm not allergic to them, but anything else my skin is allergic to it. And I break out in a rash. And I don't want a fucking rash anymore. So I was looking for toilet paper, couldn't find it. I ended up finding some off-brand shit in Western Beef, which is a supermarket here in New York, in Staten Island. I bought a fucking pack of some bullshit just to get me by until they, you know, get their next delivery in the store. So I got that from Western Beef. But when I was in Rite Aid, I had seen all the shelves were clear. It reminded me of what happened in Louisiana during the storm. And I went into Rite Aid Pharmacy for supplies. Now the store, all front of the store is all glass in Louisiana. In Kenner, Louisiana, it's all glass, the Rite Aid Pharmacy. And it was blown in from the storm. Water. There was water. The pipes were busted in the ceiling or whatever. And there was water pouring down like a waterfall into the store from some pipes. All the doors were all blown in, so anyone could just walk in, get supplies, and leave. But people were going in and getting whatever they needed. I went to go in and get supplies. I got on a bicycle, told my Aunt Helen and Shayna that I'd be back, that I'm going to get some supplies because the neighbors across the street told me, these 2 white boys told me that, you know, hey, we know where you can get some supplies at, but they didn't take supplies. They had not Walkmans, but CD players and bullshit. They didn't get supplies. So I'm thinking pharmacy, Rite Aid. There's a lot of supplies in there. I can get Pampers for Shayna because she needs Pampers. I can get water. I can get food. I can get medical supplies, Band-Aids if we need, all kinds of bullshit. Candles, those lighters that light the candles, all of that stuff. And that's the stuff I got. When I came out, a mean old cowboy hat wearing cop, racist white old country cop, was standing outside with his hand on his gun, on his holster, looking at me. And he told me to come on out. I gave him the supplies, put him on the car. He told me to open it up, and he showed him everything. I showed him everything I had. Let's just say, what happened after that shouldn't have happened to no human being. And I'm going to save that story for another time. But I disappeared for 16 months behind that. Behind getting supplies. And then he lied on me and changed the narrative and tried to make it look like I was stealing makeup. I don't even know how anyone could believe that story, first of all, considering what I was going through. I was out every day, jumping in. It's a whole nother story. I have to tell you about that because that's a story that I don't want to be eating. I don't want to do anything but just sit here and talk to you about it. But my point of telling this again, I'm sorry I left the point. Point of telling you the story is that it reminds me of people going into panic mode. It reminds me of people going into survival mode and just snatching and grabbing up everything that they can find, you know? It's just that there's no storm, there's no natural disaster, so everyone's paying for this stuff. The only difference is back then, everything was free to take as long as it was supplies. That's the only difference. So yeah, but here's the thing. We can't panic. We can't panic. Panicking is going to be as you see, it's going to be much worse for us because now people are getting very desperate. People are stealing. They're going to be robbing people. It's going to get so much worse when you panic. You're not going to help the situation. You got to keep calm during this time. You got to keep calm, and you have to remember to think about other people other than yourself. You know, we're going to get through this. You know, does the CDC know everything about this virus now? Absolutely not. They don't. The story keeps changing every fucking day. They don't know. It's like they keep saying it like they're saying it's a weapon. You know, it's war. They're saying things like, you know, one day they think that they have, you know, the symptoms down packed, and then they'll tell you, hey, you know what? Those symptoms don't necessarily prove that a person has the corona because this person was tested positive for corona, but they didn't have all of the same symptoms. So it changes. So we don't know the real truth. Now they're calling it the invisible killer or whatever. No one knows really exactly how it's spread or transferred. We just know that it's highly contagious. So they're telling people to wear masks, gloves, stay 6 feet from each other. Here in New York, where I live, it's, oh my God, 500 and something deaths already. I forgot how many people are infected. It's thousands and thousands are infected. But over 500, almost 600 are dead already from the virus. So I'm afraid. My neighbor died from it. My neighbor lives 2 doors down. He went into the hospital and never came home. Yeah. So it's hitting really close to home. I'm doing everything I can do to protect myself and to protect others. But I'd be lying if I sat here and said that I'm not concerned or I'm not worried or I'm not scared. 2 doors down. His name was Raheem. He's dead now. They took him off the ventilator. They took him off the breathing, you know, the oxygen. But, yeah, he was on it for weeks and he wasn't getting any better and they took him off of it. But anyway, don't panic. Maybe going into survival mode is not so bad, but the way people are doing it is like every man and woman for themselves. No one's thinking about the next person. You know, they're forgetting about humanity. They're forgetting about compassion and empathy for other people, for elderly people, for people who just other people. They're only thinking about themselves. But toilet paper? What the fuck? Y'all are fighting in the fucking supermarkets, in aisles, over fucking toilet paper. There's going to be lots of toilet paper, honey. You're going to be able to take shit. It's okay. Toilet toilet paper. A bitch couldn't find no fucking toilet paper tonight, so she had to buy cheap fucking toilet paper. Oh my God. Anyway, stay calm. Don't worry. Constantly wash your hands. Take showers when you come from outside. That's what I did. When I left the supermarket, when I came in, I took a shower. That's the first thing I do when I leave from out there. I come home, I wash my hands first before I touch anything in my house. Take off my clothes and I jump in the shower because I want to get rid of whatever is on me, on my skin, on my body, has to come off. I'm not transferring that shit into my bed with me. So you wash immediately. Wash immediately. So, I love you guys. Stay safe. And I'll tell you the second half of that story soon. Just not tonight. I love you. Good night.